Hi guys. So what is the Richat structure? Well, the Richat structure is an anticline dome. It's a geologic structure that was formed about 100 million years ago when Africa was still part of Pangaea. This structure is pretty unique because it's a very circular dome. Usually they're not shaped this perfectly, and these beds that you see in the circular shape here are all angled, and if you look, they're angled towards the center of this thing. See if you can picture this as a stack of bowls with the top worn off flat. This structure started to form 100 million years ago, but no doubt it was eroding while it was rising. So there never was a perfect dome ever to start off with. The rock types are sandstone, volcanic rock, and some hydrothermal activity in the center has created different types of minerals. There really isn't any geothermal activity there now, though, to speak of. There might be a hot spring or two, but that's about it. Here's a quick look at the geologic time scale. A lot of the underlying rock is as old as the Cambrian down here, which is 1/2 billion years old. And except for some patches of Jurassic, maybe some Cretaceous, most of these sediments that had piled onto Africa have since been eroded off. And there's a lot of Precambrian, Paleozoic, Proterozoic rocks exposed, not in the structure itself, but to the west. About 200 million years ago in the Triassic, Africa was part of Gondwanaland, and that's right here. Antarctica, Australia, India. So that's about 100 million years before this structure started to form over here. Keeping in mind, of course, that a long time ago the craton, which is the slab of rock that's called Africa, might have been a lot thinner in that time, and so it was easier for volcanic activity to push itself through this craton and pop out, and then we'd have volcanic activity on the surface. So here's the story. We have the magmatic dome down here pushing upwards, forcing all of this material up into like a dome shape, and it's been eroded down as it was forming. So it never really was a complete dome. Also keeping in mind that 100 million years ago, even up to 20 or 30,000 years ago, Africa was not dry and barren and like a desert like it is now. It was lush. There was a lot of water. This structure was probably filled in with water a few times and had been a lake. It could have been a lake for 100,000 years. So you will find shells and signs of fossils in there, but I don't think it was ever really covered by the ocean per se. And we can see in the middle we have the hydrothermal activity. We have little dikes coming up here, but it never really turned into a huge volcano. Here's some nice examples. The one that we're looking at is down here on the bottom left, but these go all kinds of different ways. You just see the different shapes. As they get eroded, you'll get these designs and on the top soil here that look like this. This is like a plunging one. The Richat is this one down here, which is almost a perfect one. Here's a close-up on that. This is a more realistic picture of what we have here. Anticline dome. We got the youngest on the outside, the oldest in the middle, right in the middle. If you're going to find any billion-year-old rock. It'll be down below here somewhere. So on Google Earth, this is in Australia, and this is a series of different types of anticlines. And you can see the shapes are not perfectly round. These are plunging, they're at angles and everything. The blue look that the eye of the Sahara has is caused by this blue ore that is in a layer throughout the whole region, but you can only see it in these little outcrops, and there are big mines. This whole mountain is being mined, and on the Richat structure, the blue ore layer is in the mountain right up on the back side there, and due to erosion, that chunks of that layer have fallen down into this structure, giving it a blue tinge. There's a lot of other things like sodalite and other blue minerals that aren't necessarily caused by the Richat structure. They kind of blew in, from around the area. Either blew in as a form of dust, or rocks that rolled down, got washed down. This is a type of lava that is seen in the area. It's very runny. It's easy to go up through fissures and cracks, and it just runs all over the place, spreads out pretty wide. Here's a handy chart showing some of the common rocks. Not all of these are in the Richat structure, though. Just some of them are. This is why it looks blue. It's got a lot of just blue rocks laying all over the place. I think that might be sodalite, but I'm not sure. Here's another picture of that rock close up. There's a lot of carbonatitic igneous rocks. Carbonatite or phosphates, apatite, monazite, fluorite, sylvite, halite. So it's got quite a spectrum of rock types here. It's probably a really good place to go rock hunting. And here's a big mine where they're mining that blue rock to the northwest. I think about 40 or 50 miles. But these little outcrops pop up as resistant, like little mountains that are just blue. And so they are mining this. But this layer used to cover the whole entire area. There's only a few spots where it's actually sticking out where they can mine it easily. Another picture of the mine. You can see there's just desert all around, just brown sand except for this. It's really kind of pretty. Here's a picture showing how close it is to the ocean. A lot of this rock all around in here is Cambrian, Precambrian, Proterozoic. It's extremely old. It almost looks like it had sediment on it at one time and it all got washed off. This is a mountain range right here, right behind the structure, which is right here. So this blue rock you see in patches around here is in this cliff face here. It's rolled down, gotten in here. This is all sand out here, sand dunes. It seems to be encroaching in this northern way, and it's even coming in here, and it looks like it's going to eventually could even fill this whole thing up. And this is a low area, so it should fill. Another picture. Here's a picture looking from the north, and you can see this cliff face right here. This is all supposed to be all sandstone, red sandstone. This slopes downward into the huge sand dune here. This is all sand. And then we have rifts, and there's a lot of faults in the area. In fact, I think this part here has actually been raised. It's gone up around the structure. Wouldn't be surprised if whatever made this in the beginning probably is responsible for raising all of this. But believe me, I am not an expert on the geology of this area. I'm just pointing out obvious stuff. Here's a close-up of the cliffs on the north side of those mountains, which is actually a plateau. They look like mountains from the ground, but once you get on top, it's pretty flat. It's kind of level, and it's called a plateau. Here's the part over towards the structure. You can see the structure, the way it's setting down in there, too. You would think it would be raised way up, and it's kind of puzzling how it could raise up but still be the lowest spot there is. This whole piece here is higher than everything else in the whole area. But I think it's about 1,500 feet or something. And these are sand dunes down here. Just, I don't know how thick those are, but it covers everything up here, so we can't really see what's going on down there. And then finally we have a complete view of this. Excuse me. Here's the Richat structure here, and it's a pretty interesting cliff formation over here. And here's a good location shot showing the ocean up here. You can see. And one interesting thing is the way these rocks are formed here. It almost looks like everything just kind of drained out that way, or it was scraped off. But if you zoom in, it looks, what it looks like is that all the sediments from millions of years is actually washed off. And it looks like it washed off this way, but when you look in the ocean, you don't really see the amount of sediment that you would think would be there. But this is all billion-year-old rocks down here. I notice it's mostly sand here, but not over here. It seems to be just blowing this way for some reason. Another unbelievable picture. This one shows a very nice detail. You can even see fault lines here in the structure itself. All these little lines, those are fault lines. This is all the hydrothermal area here. This was, like I said, undoubtedly had to have been a lake many times, and for hundreds of thousands of years it could have been a lake. But unfortunately, this part of Africa is drying out. Water is becoming more scarce by the day. And we see the fault lines here at the top. All those are fault lines, cracks, which you would expect to see when something's being raised up like that. It has to spread out a little bit, and you will get these cracks. Another photo showing that there is life in Richat Structure. This is looking, the north would be up. We have these green areas which are supposed to be green, like because it's plants. You can hardly see it, but there's a stream here that comes around the bottom here, and it actually empties in here. And somehow it's cut this too. I don't think that was from water running out. It looks like it was from water running in. And there doesn't seem to be anywhere where water could actually run out of this thing, but it could theoretically fill up right now and be a big lake. So here's the topo map showing the topography, and you can see it is a low area here for sure. Got some nice rings. It's just slightly exaggerated, but you get the main idea here. The lowest area down here, as far as going out anywhere, looks like you could go that way if you were, say, it was filled with a boat and you wanted to go out this way. This top part up here is actually a little higher, so you wouldn't be able to get far, even if it was full of water. Another photo. I like to show the photos because you got to kind of look at a bunch of different photos to get the the whole picture here. And you can see the blue here. All this blue is from a layer of rock that's right in the side of this mountain or plateau, and this same rock is the same rock that appears here and there where they're mining it as outcrops. Another unbelievable photo taken. I think this is from the northwest looking southward. uh, sand dunes here. So yeah, this would be, I think west is down towards the left bottom. There is a ancient town. The structure is to the right here, and this is that stream I was telling you about. Goes all the way up here, and there's the trees, there's orchards in here. I'm not sure how to say that. Quodane. It's still there. It used to be, in its day, it was a trading center. This is actually a painting, but it's pretty accurate. Clearly shows the sand pouring in from the west. Here's the valley cut here from that stream that eventually comes down here. Not much to say here. There's an outcrop over here, but it's actually a pretty good picture because it looks pretty accurate. Topo location map, and you can see what it's saying about this part down here being lower. So it's possible that if this was full, it did drain out this way. It's hard to tell with all that sand out there, though. Another great shot showing this is all the sand here. I'm not sure if that green is actually plants, but it could be. This is would be east in this corner here, or I guess it would be east, would be to the right. And you can see the whole thing, the edges are raised up high enough that you can see the drainage is downward from here. So it's bulged up, but it's still, the whole thing is in a low area. Another photo showing the blue eye. I don't know if this is all blue though. I think this somehow must be color enhanced, although the sand does look right. But this is red sandstone up here. I thought it was volcanic at first, but it's actually red sandstone. Very hard quartzite. There's a lot of quartzite in it. That's why it's so resistant to weathering. Yet another photo showing the mountains or the plateau in the background. And another view. Yet another view with enhanced colors. That's not water, and I don't think it really looks that blue, but another interesting photo does show a lot of the drainage patterns here, and you can see that the water drained right off from this plateau down the sides, so it was easy to bring that blue rock down into this structure. You won't see the blue rock too much over here, but like I said, this outcrop, you can almost see it over here and along the edges here, does show up on other parts of the region. It's just that a lot of it is gone. And of course, my favorite. Here's another with the sun. Looks like the sun is hitting it from the west. This is a picture of some structures in Quodane, that city that's nearby. Back in its heyday, it was a big trading center. None of these these are all, it looks like they just picked up rocks off the ground and made every wall in that place is made from these just angular fragmented rocks. I don't see a single carved stone in the whole area. Here's Quodane from the air. This is Google Earth, I think. This entire part over here is the old part of town. You can see it basically is dying. Most of this is abandoned. Here you can see the little orchards and stuff out here in the desert by the what was a stream. I guess there's water there once in a while, but it's pretty much had it. It's abandoned. All of these walls are the structures I just showed you. Just piled up stones. Not even any mortar, it didn't look like. Maybe there was. Oh, I probably had brick mortar, but I mean not brick mortar, mud mortar. Closer shot here yet. There are some holdouts in here though. But what do you do? Another picture of the old part of Quodane. I'm probably saying that wrong. And for facts and figures, you can come over here to Richat Structure and Wikipedia. It's got some interesting stuff, you know, just general facts. Here's a good place to go if you want to learn about carbonatite. Sand Atlas. They have some pretty good descriptions on all the different rocks. Very nice pictures. So if you want to learn about that, you could come here. And it's got this nice list on the right hand side that just seems to cover every kind of rock there is, and more. So there's a lot of carbonate minerals in this area. They're called carbonatites. In fact, that lava I think was carbonatite lava, which makes it really runny. And this explains the carbonatitic magma that is common in the area. But you do get some really good pictures here of these rocks. These are probably some of the best I've seen, really. Oh, here's some extra information here. You could probably stop your viewer here and just read that. I'm not going to go through it though. Another picture showing why it looks blue. But this is important. The hydrothermal karst infilling at its summit. Caves and karst formations were hollowed out by the hydrothermal activity, and then the area was filled in with sediment, which formed all new rocks and minerals. And just quickly, this is a 400-meter rise in sea level from the present level. This is what it would look like. 400 meters, not feet, meters. This would be filled if the water could just get there. 420 meters. Well, it does give you somewhat of an idea of the topography, though. I didn't know this back part was that low in relationship to the mountain. I thought it was pretty level there, but it's actually a lot lower there than it is over here. Here's on the Google map. This is the big mine I was showing you over here. That outcrop just seems to pop up just in certain places here. It makes me think that this whole area probably might have been built up at one time, and it's just all weathered down, and that's why that outcrop is there. This layer is the same sedimentary layer that you find over here. So what happened to everything in between? It's like it just got just eroded away. And these patterns over here, very strange. Shells have been found all along here up to a point, like right along here. I think it's right up to about here, a lot of shells. So the ocean level was up to this level for quite a long time, and long enough for shells to live, and then we have the fossils all over the place here. Not much up here, but this is all new sand. This is all new deposits up here. Geologically speaking, that is. Here we can see the backside of the plateau, and that blue layer is right along in this edge here, and it shows up over here. So I know this was lifted. Maybe the blue layer of sediment, that ore, is still in there. I don't know. I do have the video that shows the geologic map of the area, and if you want to know what all this stuff is, just check that video out. It's not very long, and I basically got the real geologic map out and show what each of the rocks are, all the layers, everything. So we'll finish this up by hitting the Google and check out some of these outcrops here. And here's a little outcrop on the back side, more of the blue layer. Getting a pretty good shot of it with Google. There's that cliff. This is not on the plateau, but it's like the plateau. And those are the layers. See how blue it is. I wouldn't mind going there just to look at that. And here's the back side of that plateau. You can see there's quite a cliff there. All the blue ore washing down. That's a low area too. I didn't know that. This whole area right here is really low. Through here. You can see it right here, just barely. So there's an interesting crater too, by the way. There's one up to the north east, but there's one over here. And that does look like it erupted lava. Very old crater, by the way. Okay, so that's it, except for going into extreme detail. I want to keep this video short and to the point. And I think I did a pretty good job. Put all your comments down below, and thank you for viewing. Have a good day.